The infrastructure is crumbling. I think we all see it. We all get old. We all fall apart, whether it's people or infrastructure.
The bridge over Interstate 35 West has absolutely collapsed. It collapsed onto the West River Parkway below and the Mississippi River.
The infrastructure bill that's being talked about in Congress right now would be a big investment for myself, my family, the Iron Range.
I think the bill would mean tremendous things for the range, keep everybody that's working, keep everybody employed. The range is basically all steel, and if the infrastructure plan can keep us going, it's going to have a big impact on the range.
It's critical to the Iron Range because the steel process starts here on the Iron Range. We mine the taconite that ends up making the steel that is critical to the infrastructure and rebuilding America.
I think it's awesome to be like one of the first steps in steel. Steel is everywhere. We use it every day, so it's neat to know that our pellets end up producing steel that's all over.
Yeah, you look at everyday uses. You got your washers and dryers in your houses, your vehicles on your roads, your semis. Everything that moves America is based on iron.
And it is a source of pride for the workers in this area to know that what we produce up here is important to national security, to infrastructure, to the entire country.
You see a new bridge going up, and that's our pellets made the steel and keeping everybody safe. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty neat to be a little piece of the puzzle.
When I see a ship or a airplane or a bridge or anything made out of steel, I'm constantly thinking about, was that our pellets, or did I have a part in that? And I think it's a constant thought.
I believe that the United States is probably a leader in being a steward for the environment and production. I believe that the United States is probably the number one in the world.
If we make the steel in America, we build the stuff that needs to be done as our country is crumbling with this infrastructure crisis, it's going to keep us working, and maybe we'll be able to avoid some of these layoffs that traditionally happen.
My wife and I were both laid off for a year. It's tough. We didn't know if we were even coming back to work. This infrastructure bill could add years and years and years to our employment here.
For decades, the union has been pushing for large infrastructure bills, and now is the chance to get it done. It's a pretty rare opportunity, a rare space and time where something big can get done.
It's huge that this infrastructure bill gets passed through Congress.
If you're not going to do it, where do you start cutting? Where do you not fix? Where is the danger that you're putting at, whether it be the water system, the sewage situation, the bridges, the roads? So where do you say, well, we don't need to be safe there, but we need to be safe here?
Good morning. Good morning. That's better. Welcome to the sixth and final stop of the We Supply America bus tour. For those of you who don't know me, because I know we have some new folks in the crowd, my name is Roxanne Brown, and I proudly serve as International Vice President at Large for our great union, the Steelworkers. Yes. So it has been a week. Have you all been following us? Yeah. Have you been following us? Yeah. All right, I need more energy. We're going to have energy. This is the sixth and final stop. I need more energy. Have you been following us? Yeah. All right, that's better. Over the last 6 days, we've driven 2,176 miles. We've had events in 6 states. We've battled rainstorms, tornadoes, extreme heat. We've dodged some cops, Team New Media, and we've done all of this to highlight how USW members supply America. Listen, this is event number 6. I'm gonna need you guys to be with it, okay? All of the other events, everyone was on it. So when I say, who supplies America? What do you say? All right, it's been a powerful week. And ending it here on this plaza that reflects the USW industries that supply America really brings it home. The red benches represent the hot I-beams our members in the steel industry make for building projects of all kinds. The cylindrical trees are lit red at night to represent the furnaces where our materials are forged. The pergola, with its aluminum and wood, is a nod to those industries, including paper. The cement that we're standing on echoes the diamond patterns of our headquarters, but also represents the members in the cement industry. Even the rubber mulch was selected to acknowledge our members in the tire and rubber sectors. Our members make us proud. Do our members make us proud? And I'm always proud of the work that they do. But this week, I have to tell you, I was filled to the brim with pride and really emotion at each of these events, as we heard from members who maintain sidewalks and roads for the city of Dublin in Ohio, members who work at Cleveland Cliffs, Goodyear, Corning, PCA, U.S. Steel, Holophane, Fiestaware, and many other companies who are making the components that supply America, and we're going to hear from more today. We've taken our message of "We supply America" as kind of it's a battle cry. That's what I've been saying all week, is it's a battle cry for our union and our members, and we've made that cry heard loud and clear at every stop. So when I say, who supplies America? Who supplies America? Who supplies America? I would like to point out that Congressman Doyle is louder than all of you, currently, right now, because I heard you, Congressman. Thank you for your support of steelworker members. Just like we've taken on that battle cry, we've used this week to really tell the stories of USW members, how, we're steelworkers, but our membership extends beyond steel into almost every sector of this economy, and that USW members are the backbone of this country. Because who supplies America? We had the best set of wheels to take our message across this country. Who saw the bus? All right. So the design of this bus was really USW made. The pictures of the members on the bus were taken by our new media department. The graphics and design of the bus were done by Greg Cole in our communications department. Yes, Greg? Woo! And the bus was wrapped with the design by local union 8042 members at Star Graphics, and I think we have Ryan and Ed from Star Graphics right here. Ryan is the owner. Ed is one of our members. Thank you guys so much. The bus is beautiful. As we rode down the highways all over this country, people kept looking and stopping and watching. Every stop that we pulled in where our members were, they were so proud. You have no idea how our members were proud of that bus and proud to pose in front of that bus. And so thank you, and really thank the entire team that had anything to do with this bus. It made our members proud. It's been an amazing journey, and we're really glad to be home and to really help to complete this work, because the work is not done. And Congressman Doyle and Senator Casey will both tell you the same thing. The work is not done. It's only halfway done. It still has to work its way through the process with the House, and then come back to the Senate, and then ultimately get to the president's desk for signature. So we have a lot of work to do, but we're here to tell the nation what? Who supplies America? Who supplies America? All right, thank you all. I want to welcome our first speaker, Assistant 10 Director John Ratika. John, I don't know where, there you are, John. Okay, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for being here today, our international leadership, our distinguished guests, and most importantly, our steelworker members in District 10. In District 10, we have over 40,000 members, over 650 collective bargaining agreements. And in Pennsylvania, our members see every day how important infrastructure is to our economy. In Pennsylvania, our bridges are 15 years older than the national average. More than a quarter of our roads are in poor condition, would cost Pennsylvania drivers an average of $620 a year. Our sewer systems has the most combined sewer overflow in the country, spilling billions of gallons of untreated sewage into our streams and rivers. You think about that, where we get our water from. Most of our water lines, I'm thinking of one particular water authority that we have organized. They tell me that their water lines are from the late 30s and early 40s. And our guys who are trying to patch these lines tell me if you'd ever look inside of these lines, you'd never drink the water out of it. And it's funny because they're required by the DEP to put a report out every quarter about the water, the quality of the water when they're not in compliance. And there's this shit in there called trimethylanes. I think I'm pronouncing it right. I don't know what it is. But I can tell you this. It says some of the people drinking the water containing trimethylanes in excess over years could experience problems with their liver, their kidneys, their central nervous system, and have increased risk of getting cancer. That's not in some third world country or anything. That's here in southwestern Pennsylvania. And that's a shame because we could fix it. Continued underinvestment in our infrastructure will cost the U.S. more than $10 trillion in GDP and 3 million jobs over the next 15 years. But we can change this as steel workers. Many of you here today can change this. In Pennsylvania, steel workers, we do construction of rebuilding of our energy and transportation system. We make cement, steel, turbines to put in our infrastructure. We make fuels for transportation, metal for our nation's military. We make parts for the auto industry. We made the glass in the PPG arena. For our union, though, the importance of infrastructure is more than just what goes in it. It's also about getting our product to our customers. For example, the steel workers at Allclad and Corral need reliable and safe transportation to get their products to kitchens all across the country. You can see we're ready to supply America. We need our elected officials, the federal, the state, and local levels to act, and to act now. It's good to be joined by these two important leaders today, Senator Casey and Congressman Doyle. Our infrastructure has been ignored for too long. Congress has been working on passing infrastructure legislation through both the Senate and the House, and we need to push them to the finish to ensure that this massive investment project goes to communities like ours. That infrastructure bill is made with U.S. steel, U.S. cement, our pipe, our lighting, and our fiber cable. Let's join together and take action and tell our elected officials that our union is ready to supply America. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Who supplies America? We supply America. Who supplies America? We supply America. All right, before I introduce our next speaker, I want to shout out 2 additional locals that are here because we're going to be hearing from some of our locals who are supplying America as we go. Local 1219, U.S. Steel Edgar Thompson Works. Where are you guys? All right. And Local 3657. Thank you, guys. All right, our next speaker obviously needs no introduction from me. He is our fearless leader, and I am proud to call him my friend, Tom Conway, President of the Steelworkers.
You know, Rox is going to make you keep doing that We Supply America until you get it right. I mean, that's how she does it. Look, I'd like to take a minute and sort of tell you something that's just occurred. As you all know, we lost Richie Trumka earlier this month, unexpectedly, and Rich was a tremendous voice for the American labor movement. But about a half an hour ago, we installed Liz Schuler as the president of the AFL-CIO, and I had the honor of nominating our vice president, Fred Redmond, as the secretary-treasurer of the AFL-CIO. So it's an important day, and as steel workers, we should be proud to have one of our own at the highest levels of America's labor organization, and Fred will do a tremendous job going forward. Look, I also want to thank you guys who made that bus so beautiful, the workmanship on it, and it really did impress our members, the ability, the fact that it came from steel workers, done by your own hands, it made a tremendous difference in this tour. We started this thing out in Northwest Indiana. We had the Secretary of Labor join us and to indicate the administration's seriousness and importance of what it is we have going on. Our country is at a turning point, and we're having a discussion about infrastructure that our union has been trying to initiate for 20 years, and we're finally at a point where we are seriously talking about it. And the bipartisan legislation that has come out of the Senate and the reconciliation bill that now sits in the House and is going to get consideration, it is full of Buy American provisions. It insists that the money that's going to be spent by U.S. taxpayers is money is products that's sourced from here. It contemplates and almost mandates that manufacturing come back to this country and build in this country, that we build a supply chain for the work that's going to go into this infrastructure, and it's a broad look at what needs to get done. It's not just roads and bridges, but there's a social side to the infrastructure that we so badly need, that our schools and our hospitals need, where our children who are our future are going to learn, and they can learn in safe and clean places in schools that have the resources they need, and with an aging population that's going to have the hospitals we need, and for people who have children and need to be able to go to work but don't have a way to handle their child care issues. There's that built in there too. It's really a tremendous legislative effort that we see coming out of this administration. And when you hear them say there's a whole of government approach, there truly is a whole of government approach that we're seeing right now that has been so friendly to us and so able for us to talk to on a daily and regular basis. And so together with our friends who we relied on so much and the folks in this administration, we are at the cusp of really turning America around. And the idea that we supply America is just so true when you think about our union and you think about the work that we do and that our members do and the products that we make. And you build an economy not through a bunch of financial algorithms and engineering. You build an economy by mining something and milling it and putting capital and labor against it and making a product and bringing it to a market. And that's what we do so best. And those products that we're making are what's going to rebuild this nation again and put us on the kind of footing we need going forward. So I'm so pleased to have watched this union in this past week work in such a collaborative way. Every one of our departments seamlessly working together, making sure this went off like clockwork. I am frankly so proud of Roxanne and her leadership and what's they've put together and the way they've delivered this. So look, we're ending this tour today and our fight will continue. We're going to continue to drive this issue. We're going to stay in the forefront. There's no other union who has as much at stake as this, as the steelworkers do, and we're going to win this thing. And when we're talking about winning, I also want to mention something. You're going to see here today with you Pitt faculty members who are trying to get themselves a union, who are forming a union here in Pittsburgh. Their signs are down front. They're out here as well. They deserve the right to have that. Their votes are starting. We're going to be behind them every step of the way. We're going to turn Pittsburgh into a union town, and we're going to support this faculty. So on your way out, take a yard sign. Talk about this in this town. Drive this organizing campaign. Help these people get their union. Thanks for coming out here today.
Our fearless leader. Thank you, Tom. When I was talking about the bus, I left out one of the most important people, and that was our bus driver, Ron, who I want to give a huge shout out to. He's probably on the bus, but please give it up for Ron. That's a lot of miles, and that brother kept us really safe, so thank you, Ron. So we're excited to be joined by two of our union's strongest champions in the U.S. Congress. This next speaker is someone who is not just a strong voice for working men and women, but one of our strongest voices on the need for a really strong and robust domestic manufacturing sector. Please join me in welcoming Senator Bob Casey.
Well, thanks very much. Let's hear it for Roxanne. Roxanne, thank you for your leadership, and I want to thank Tom Conway for having us back here at this site where so much has happened on behalf of working men and women. Not only steelworkers, but the men and women of organized labor, year after year, and literally generation after generation. I've been coming to this site for more years than I can even recall, and I'm so grateful to be back here. I want to thank the steelworkers in a very personal way. I would not be standing here as an elected official of any kind, state elected official or a federal elected official, without your help. So I'm grateful for that. And when you say that all of you are supplying America, I know what you did to supply me with the fuel and the votes and the help to be in the position that I'm in. So I want to thank you for that in a very personal way. And in my family, it goes back more than one generation. But Tom, I want to thank you for your leadership. The leadership of a major American union at a very tough time for our country, especially prior to the election in 2020. One of the reasons, the driving reason, why we can stand here today and talk about an infrastructure future for our Commonwealth and our country is because of the work you all did to bring this team into office, to make sure that we had two majorities in Congress and a president and a vice president to help us get there. So I want to thank you for doing that. I want to thank you as well for sending people like Mike Doyle to Congress year after year. And I have to correct myself. I can no longer call him Mike because he's now a chairman. So Mr. Chairman, welcome home and thank you for your leadership for all of that. We want to make sure he's a chairman for as many years as he wants to be, because that will indicate not only that we have a great leader, but it'll also indicate that we have a majority, which we don't want to lose. But I also want to commend and salute the workforce that is here. So many men and women here behind me holding those signs, and I'll try to cut my remarks a little short because you're holding signs for a long time, and getting on that bus and going state after state to deliver that message about we supply America. This is a pivotal moment for the country. But I think it's also a moment when we should remind ourselves of the value and the dignity of your work. And I don't think we stop to do that enough. You know, I always tell the story, and I'll tell it again. You might be sick of it, some of you. But when Governor Casey was in office in Harrisburg, he worked with all of the unions in Pennsylvania to fund a project. And this project was to have a sculpture of the Pennsylvania worker. So they commissioned a sculpture, and then of course all the unions, they didn't use taxpayer money, they used union supported money, union dues money actually, to build this sculpture. They could have chosen any worker in America. They chose a steel worker leaning into a beam with all of the skill and value that his work brought. And now we can say both his and her work brings to America. So I want to salute you, not only for what you're doing for this event today, what you're doing to help move our infrastructure bill forward, but what you're doing for the future of our Commonwealth and our country. Because in Pittsburgh and in Allegheny County and in southwestern Pennsylvania, you have never waited for your own future. You've invented it. And you're doing that here again today. Let me just make some comments about two bills, and it's important to remember we have two. The first bill is the bipartisan bill. There's a lot in that, and your leadership has already outlined some of that. Let me just highlight a couple more items. First of all, when you think about it, just in terms of jobs, this bill, this bipartisan bill that got through the United States Senate with an overwhelming vote, will create at least 2 million jobs across America each and every year over multiple years. That's good news. Secondly, the bill protects labor standards. The overwhelming majority of the funds will be subjected to Davis-Bacon requirements, which ensure, and I know you all know what this is, but for those beyond with our audience, I want to tell them. Davis-Bacon ensures that contractors pay workers on construction projects a fair and a prevailing wage. The right thing to do when we're spending lots of taxpayer money. It extends labor protections to new jobs created in the clean energy industry, whether it's solar, wind, carbon capture, energy transmission, and the construction of charging stations on highways and in communities. The legislation also includes comprehensive Buy America provisions to ensure that all taxpayer-funded infrastructure and public works projects are built with, you guessed it, American steel. And finally, the bill sends billions of dollars for advanced energy manufacturing facilities and clean energy demonstration projects to communities where coal mines or power plants have been shut down, including those here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So that's just a quick highlight. You know the impact for Pennsylvania on roads and bridges. We're going to get over a couple of years for our whole state more than $11 billion for roads, for highways, because we've got 7,500 miles that are in poor condition. We know that we're going to have at least, and I say at least because there's two parts of this, at least $1.6 billion additional money for bridge repair. And we can also apply to a bigger fund of about $12 billion for bridges. And when you add that to transit and broadband and water and so much else, it is a really good bill. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the second bill. This is a little more complicated, right? Because this next bill, the so-called reconciliation bill, is a bill to lower costs for families, to invest in families like our nation hasn't. Now, we've had a tax code for 40 years, since 1980, that's been rigged for rich people and huge multinational corporations. Bill after bill, vote after vote, presidents and members of Congress voting year after year to help those people. It wasn't until we got a majority and President Biden came into office when we decided, starting with the rescue plan, to say we're going to invest in tax cuts for families raising their kids with the child tax credit. We want to continue that. We also want to make sure that we're expanding greatly for all of our families. Those of you who have a loved one who's a senior, or you might have a person, a family member who's a person with a disability in your family. There is no reason why, in the most powerful country in the world, that your family member, who might be a senior or a person with a disability, cannot have those services and that care provided in their home and in the community. Home and community-based services are part of this bill as well. 2 more years of education beyond high school is in this bill. Pre-kindergarten education for all 3- and 4-year-olds in the country. Quality, affordable child care, and on and on and on. This is an investment in families. The big corporations and very wealthy Americans have had their day. They've had 40 years of benefits, giveaways, year after year. It's about time we invested in our families. So when I consider what we're trying to do here, to pass this critically important bipartisan infrastructure bill, and then to pass a bill to lower costs and invest in families and workers, this is your work. This is your agenda. This is what you voted for us to do, and we have a chance to enact it into law. And when I look out in this crowd and I see those who are leading men and women of organized labor throughout this region, where's Darren Kelly and his good work, leading the AFL-CIO, leading us here in Allegheny County in southwestern Pennsylvania. This is what we came to do. We didn't come to hang around and hold hands and hope for the best. We came to get things done because of the work that you've done to send us here. So it's that old phrase, early to bed, early to rise, work like hell and organize. Thank you for doing this. Thanks for supplying America and giving us a future. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Senator Casey. Who supplies America? Who supplies America? All right, I'm having you practice before this next speaker comes up, okay? So our next speaker is really one of our best and strongest champions in the U.S. House of Representatives. Every single day he brings the message of Western Pennsylvania to Congress. Every single day he brings the message and the fight for working people to the House of Representatives, and we're so proud to be joined by him. Congressman Doyle, welcome.
Thank you, Roxanne. Wow, Roxanne, she's something, isn't she? Yeah. President Conway, President Darren Kelly, good to see you, brother. Senator Casey, brothers and sisters, as the grandson and son of Pittsburgh steelworkers, I am proud to join you here today. Who supplies America? We supply America. You're damn right we do, and we're going to continue to do that. You know, our nation's infrastructure, it was one of the envy of the world, and it was built decades ago by many brothers and sisters in the union movement. But we see it crumbling now. Massive disinvestment over decades has left many of our roads and bridges and airports in disrepair, and in some cases in collapse. The United States, once the world leader in infrastructure, now lags behind many industrialized nations. It doesn't have to be this way. Together, we can build back better and prove that America is still vibrant and resilient. And I appreciate your support in this fight. It's the hard work of union members like you that has built this great country and this middle-class economy that has made us the envy of the world for many, many years. You've been there over the years to support America's workers and help rebuild our economy. And you've been out there beating the drum ceaselessly for this major investment in our nation's physical and social infrastructure. And now we're getting very close to a historic achievement. And we couldn't have done it without the steelworkers. As Bobby said, Senate passed a bipartisan infrastructure package this month after years of argument and gridlock. This package is going to make historic investments in rebuilding our roads and bridges and airports and our railways and our public transportation systems. But it's not just going to invest in transportation. It's investing in other critical infrastructure like drinking water, sewer systems, the electric grid. And we're going to invest in our broadband infrastructure so that everyone can have access to the job opportunities, educational opportunities, and medical care that is exclusively reserved for those people who can go online. These investments won't just create jobs, they're going to create union jobs. These are middle-class jobs that workers can be proud of and can continue to provide our families with a good quality of life. Now, Senator Casey said that the infrastructure bill is bipartisan, but the social infrastructure bill, we may have a partisan divide. Well, let me tell you something. Republicans need child care every bit as much as Democratic families need child care. Republicans need medical care and their seniors need home health care every bit as much as Democratic families do. There's no Republican bridges and Democratic roads. This isn't a partisan issue. This is about historic investments in our country, in our infrastructure, and in our families. And there shouldn't be a single Republican or Democrat that doesn't support this legislation. Our job and your job is to talk to your friends and neighbors, because guess what? Not everybody is on board. And we're going to need to make sure that we can get the votes not only in the House of Representatives, but in the Senate, because we know President Joe Biden, one of us, is going to sign that bill. This is a bill that every family can support. In Pittsburgh alone, with the child tax credit, 35,000 families in Pittsburgh are going to get a benefit from the child tax credit. This is transformational, brothers and sisters. It's transformational. And as Bob Casey said, we've waited 40 years for the middle class and the working class in this country to finally get a break. This is our tax break that we're due. We got there because you went out and knocked doors, and you talked to your friends and neighbors, and you made sure that you put men and women in office that were going to represent working people and the middle class of this country, because that's who built this country. And we finally have a House of Representatives and a Senate and a president that is ready to get this done. And we just need your help to push it over the finish line. So let's continue the fight. Let's get out and talk to our friends and neighbors. Let's get this bill passed. God bless.
Thank you, Congressman Doyle. All right, it's now my pleasure to welcome our next speaker, whose job it is, you can come forward, brother, whose job it is to repair and upgrade our roads and other infrastructure. Please welcome Local 14693 Unit President Russ Sable.
Okay, I feel privileged and very happy to join this final stop on the union's We Supply America bus tour here at the USW headquarters. The members of my local provide construction services for several companies throughout the area. We are building roads, operating equipment, and repairing our infrastructure. Our jobs don't just simply build roads, they build lives, livelihoods, and communities. We see each day the real investment needed right here in Western Pennsylvania and across the nation. We might all do different work, but we stand here today with a common goal to not only build our country back better, but to make sure it is made in America. The labor and services my members provide are vital to infrastructure, and good paying union jobs and benefits they have are vital to our families. We're involved in our schools with local charities and every aspect of our communities. Infrastructure investments are investments in all of us, you, me, our neighbors. This will be a generational investment like never seen before. We can repair and upgrade our aging infrastructure while bringing hope and dignity to members of our locals and the workers across our country. The industrial health of our nation is at risk. The infrastructure bill is the solution, and the power of our voices together is the cure. I'm very proud of the work of every member of Local 14693, from the leadership of Bob Alderson, Mark Mace, Colt Coatvatch, and Denny Krugett, to the workers, the welders, the equipment operators, fabricators, truck drivers, pipe layers, pipe liners, coders, laborers, our yard and supply personnel, our pavers. You can't thank those people enough. It's what they do every day. And it's a great time to be a United Steelworker. Let's seize this opportunity for a better future for all of us. And thank you.
Give it up for Russ. Woo! Thank you, Brother Russ. Who supplies America? We supply America. Who supplies America? We supply America. All right, now we're going to hear for the owner of the company Russ works for, Alex Paris.
Good afternoon. I appreciate the opportunity to come down here and speak to you all. I'm Alex Paris. I'm with Alex Paris Contracting. The company's been in business since 1928. My grandfather was an Italian immigrant that came here by himself at age 14, and at age 21 he started the company. I can't tell you how much effort our family has put in through the years building infrastructure in the Mid-Atlantic region. And I also can't tell you how much time I've spent lobbying Congress for infrastructure money. I have been to DC once or twice a year for the last 30 years, and before that my dad was working on the same issues. Senator Casey's father worked with my dad to create the Pinvest Investment SRF fund for the state of Pennsylvania, which has been one of the most successful SRF funds in the United States, and one of the original ones. America needs infrastructure. At times we employ 500 people. I can honestly tell you right now, because of the lack of funds for infrastructure, we've been laying people off every month for the last 3 or 4 months. There's not enough money to address our needs. Infrastructure has been used as a political tool in the United States for the last 30 years. Everybody knows what Tom said. You can't drink the water. If you knew what was in the pipe, you wouldn't drink it. You would not drink the water. These pipes on these streets are 100 years old, a lot of them. They're leaking everywhere. Congressman Doyle has heard this story many times, correct? We need to fix these problems. This is the best opportunity we're ever going to have. This bipartisan bill, if we can get it passed, and it's going to take an effort of everybody to get it passed. And I implore on Congress not to try to tie the reconciliation bill and the infrastructure bill together, because it'll get lost in the shuffle. Those are two different issues. And there's things in that reconciliation bill that need addressed. There is no doubt. But this infrastructure bill is so important. So many jobs will be created by it. From manufacturing all the way down the line. 2 million jobs. And that's the tip of the iceberg. But the biggest thing is we're building for our future. As Congressman Doyle said, we are not the top of the industrialized world anymore in the infrastructure. That's a problem. Because all these countries are making the stuff that we used to dominate. And we can't do that if we don't have the backbone to do it. I implore you all, and your steelworkers, and we've been associated with the steelworkers for over 60 years now. I implore you all to work with your congressmen, both federal and local, to try to get this done. The other issue we have in Pennsylvania that's been an issue, and you can really impact this, is a lot of times in Pennsylvania we get lost in getting permits for stuff. Instead of taking 3 months, it takes a year or a year and a half. We need to get that resolved too, because what will happen is we'll get this federal money, and a lot of it will flow to Pennsylvania, but we won't use it, so it'll end up someplace else. We need to do that too, and that's the next step in the process. So I really appreciate you letting me talk. I come to you heartfelt because I honestly believe in all this happening, and I've been trying to get it done for a damn long time. So God bless you all. I'm glad I got to talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Next, we're going to hear from a sister that is no stranger to any of you, Sister Amber Miller, who's going to talk about the action around this campaign. Amber?
Hey, everybody. Hey. Thank you, Rox. Boy, it's nice to be home. You know, we all are no stranger standing in this courtyard today to what our union's core values are. They're things like health care, retirement security, collective bargaining, our health and safety, job security, and domestic economic issues. Those are the things that we all work to make sure that our members out there have in their contracts. And every one of these play out at the bargaining table every time we're in our workplace, and our members are in their workplaces, and they're all shaped by government decisions, right? Better or worse, it's the power of the pen. So that's really where rapid response comes in, because we have this great team of folks, and they're out here today who do the work on the Hill, but they know they need the voices of our members behind them to push it to the finish line. So when we talk about investing in our nation's infrastructure, that covers two of those core issues, right? That covers an economic issue that impacts our workplace, and it covers a job security issue that makes sure that we have good jobs in the future. So today we're all here coming together to really recognize that now's our time. Now's the time to invest in ourselves, to modernize our infrastructure, to create and sustain good paying jobs, unionized jobs, and I'm looking at Maria, and we're making sure those are steelworker jobs, right? So all this week, while the bus was moving around the country, our folks have been out doing postcard drops in congressional offices all over the country. And the reason for this is because we want our folks to understand this isn't just a moment, this isn't Infrastructure Week, it's not just the bus tour. This is a long-term effort. We are in it for the long haul, and we need to make sure that Congress knows we're lucky to have good friends here in Western Pennsylvania, but we need to make sure all of Congress knows that we're seeing this to the finish line. So our folks have been writing joint letters with their employers because our employers also understand that the administration and Congress needs to know how they can contribute together and that it's time for this kind of investment. So really there's a bigger picture here and the work needs to continue. So if anybody has not filled out one of these cards yet, they're over on the table. Please take some, take them back to your members, take them to your friends and family because we're using these and we're going to make sure the folks on the Hill understand we're seeing this through.
Thanks, Amber. All right, we're grateful this morning to be joined by a great friend and an even greater labor leader. Please welcome Darren Kelly, president of the Allegheny Fayette CLC.
Thank you, Vice President Brown, President Conway, Mr. Chairman. Pleasure saying that. My friends, I'll do my best not to repeat what was said today because the message is pretty simple. But every once in a while, the word simple is what it needs to be. Build back America. Build better. It all sometimes can get lost. And what do I mean by that? Because there always seemed to be a price tag connected to every argument back. It's very simple of this. When you build a school, sure, union work, American-made materials. But really, what is it? You're investing in the future of our children. That building provides hope for generations. When you invest in broadband, you're not just making sure that you have American-made cable. You're allowing millions of children, just what we've seen over the past 18 months, work hard for their American dream. Pretty simple, isn't it? So the question I ask back to multiple friends that we know are taking a position against this is that, are you prepared to vote against investing in the future of this country? And it's amazing how quick simple argument gets to the point. But this goes a little bit deeper. We're not just talking about infrastructure here. We're talking about manufacturing, correct? American manufacturing. Those of you that know me know that, yes, I am the Labor Council president, but I'm also a Pittsburgh firefighter. And last March, along with all of you, we were shorthanded in all of the equipment to protect us. And unions like yourselves, as well as our building trades, were able to bring over 15,000 protective gloves and masks to Pittsburgh public safety and the hospitals around. Now, was that an amazing sense of solidarity? Sure, right? Completely and totally unnecessary. Am I right? So we have to not only fund infrastructure, but to reestablish American manufacturing, not only to make products for our infrastructure, but to also allow it to protect itself. unfortunately, in the time of war, in the time of disaster, and in the time during a pandemic. There is no reason why that we had to, along with our good friends, to get into the national stockpile just to get the protective equipment so our nurses, doctors, and our first responders could protect everyone. This is a true domino effect. So the message is for those that choose to take a position against this for any reason, understand you are taking a position against the future, the safety, and the outcome of its citizens. Thank you, my friends, and thank you.
Thank you, Darren. Who supplies America? Who supplies America? Like Tom said, I'm going to keep asking you until you get it right. You haven't gotten it right yet. Maybe you need to do it next. Next time I'm going to, okay. All right, our next speaker makes some of the components that are necessary and essential for our energy systems. And I don't think I see the sister, but please welcome local 1145 Unit Secretary LaJennifer Lacombe. Where's LaJennifer? There you go. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is LaJennifer Lacombe. I am a trustee of USW Local 1145. And very short. I am a shipping expediter at Elliott Company in Jeannette, Pennsylvania. Thank you for having me here today to talk about the members of my local and why we need infrastructure investment. America's infrastructure needs to be revitalized, and Western Pennsylvania is no exception to this need. The equipment we manufacture at Elliott Company is large-scale rotating equipment for power generation, the production of fuels, and other petrochemicals such as plastics and fertilizers. For my position in shipping, I can say that Elliott Company truly supplies America. Over the last several years, most of our equipment has been shipped to Texas, Louisiana, and other locations in the United States. The industry demands are requiring larger components contained on one platform. We can build the equipment they are asking for, but getting it shipped to them is a problem with the current infrastructure. If we had a clear-cut path to water, we could very easily supply all of America and even the world. But we don't just supply America with turbines and compressors and control systems. The jobs manufacturing this equipment supply our families with health care, our children with education, our communities with resources, and support our local economy. The tax base from our jobs help to fund local school districts and essential services. For me personally, being a single mother of two, my job has provided me the means to help put both of my children through college. While the equipment we manufacture is a vital component of our nation's infrastructure, the work is just as vital to our families and our community. We need support from our local, state, and federal leaders to invest in the funding, tools, and resources required to ensure the success of my union brothers and sisters, our families and jobs for today, and for generations to come. The members of my local union understand the benefits of the infrastructure investment. It isn't just about roads and bridges, construction and materials. This is an investment in American workers. Our local is working with the Elliott Company to call for these needed investments to provide the American infrastructure of the future and ensure that the steelworkers of a local 1145 continue to supply America. Thank you for coming out today and supporting our efforts.
Thank you, Sister LaJennifer. So Amber mentioned that a big part of this campaign is these joint labor management letters. And just really quickly, one of the reasons why these letters are so important is because for the first time ever, there is a new office that lives at the White House, and it was created by this administration, and it's called the Made in America office. That's never existed before. And their job is to look across all spending across the U.S. government and to figure out how they can buy more things that are made here in the United States by steelworker members. That's something that we should applaud. That's something that we should be happy about. So these labor management letters is really about helping the administration to connect the dots with the stuff that steelworker members make across the country every single day and how they're going to spend their money, how they're going to buy the products that they need across all agencies. We're not just talking about, steel and cement. We're talking about all different products that the Department of Energy has to purchase, the Department of Education has to purchase, and other types of spending. So these letters are really, really important. And this next company, we're proud that we were able to have them join us in one of these letters. Please welcome Mike Storms, who is the Director of Operations for Engineered Products at Elliott Group. Mike.
Well, thanks for that introduction. I appreciate that. Wow. It's really an honor to be here today, representing the team of the Elliott Group. We're proud of our people, our products, and our standing in the community. Elliott Group designs, manufactures, and services compressors, turbines, cryogenic pumps, and parts to support a global installation of over 50,000 units and thousands of pumps around the world. We serve, as LaJennifer said, petrochemical, oil and gas, LNG, refining, and general industry markets. Our parent company is in Japan. It's the Ebara Corporation. Elliott Group's headquarters is in Jeannette, Pennsylvania. We have 29 locations in 19 countries. We service 19 service centers, and we have 2 manufacturing sites in the world. One is in Sadagora, Japan, and one is here in Jeannette, Pennsylvania. The one in Jeannette, Pennsylvania is the largest. We employ globally about 2,200 people. We have 900 of them that reside in Pennsylvania. Of those 900, 400 are represented by the United Steelworkers. We know that we have the greatest workforce in the world. And again, we're represented by LaJennifer and myself today. We've been in business in Jeannette since 1910 in that same location. We've been represented by the steelworkers since the 1930s. We estimate that Elliott purchases around $120 million worth of goods and services from this area, and we have about $200 million worth of trickle down from our employees who give back to local communities. That's $320 million to this local area that is being driven by a product that's made in the United States. Quickly, a fun fact about Elliott is about 50% of all the ethylene produced in the world flows through Elliott equipment. And ethylene is the base product for all plastics and nylon materials. You may not have known it, that Elliott recently designed, manufactured, and shipped the processing equipment for the Shell ethylene cracker plant that's in Beaver, Pennsylvania, just a little bit north of here. We shipped 6 compressors, 3 steam turbines, including the largest we've ever built, 2 oil systems, 6 dry gas packages. And for your information, ethane, which is what they're going to be cracking there, is a component of natural gas and is used as a feedstock to produce ethylene. So look at the tag on your clothing. If you're wearing nylon clothing, if you drove here today, if you have anything in your possession that's plastic, Elliott indirectly touched you today. We just recently invested $70 million in a new cryogenic pump test facility in downtown Jeannette on a 13-acre property that was formerly occupied by an abandoned glass plant from Jeannette's past. Now, I give you all this as just an introduction to how big an impact this movement is having and how big of an influence Elliott has. But let's talk about our shipping requirements. We divide our shipping requirements into 3 categories. Things that weigh less than 159,000 pounds. Things that weigh between 160,000 and 210,000 pounds. And finally, superloads that are greater than 210,000 pounds. To put that in perspective, Elliott is shipping an average weight or an average of 50 to 75 cars piled up in one big pile every single day. We do have some extreme loads. The steam turbine that I talked about going to the Shell cracker plant weighed almost 500,000 pounds. We had to barge it up the river to get it there. You can imagine that one of our biggest issues in Jeannette is moving materials and finished products. Over the year, PennDOT has helped us with expanding toll booths and permitting challenges. However, it's not nearly enough to resolve our transportation challenges. We ship over roads, roadways, rail. Each of these travel paths are failing to meet our needs because they've been neglected for years or are not up to today's standards. When Elliott, along with raw material suppliers and our customers, seek permits to haul product, it takes weeks, sometimes months, to secure extra engineering reviews and approve travel routes because of restrictions over roads and bridges. I know all of you have a cell phone. Google it right now, the number of defective bridges in western Pennsylvania, and witness the chaos that exists just in our area due to poor roadway infrastructure. At last report, PA has 3,770 defective bridges. That means you can't move heavy product over those bridges without an engineering study. I guess we should feel good. We're second in the nation to Iowa, who has 4,675 defective bridges. I think it was said earlier, our infrastructure is literally crumbling under our noses. Elliott, its families, and suppliers will not survive in our current forms without water, electricity, roadways, waterways, rail, and broadband. Our plant alone operates on 5 million gallons of water a month, 4 megawatts worth of power a day, and 365 24/7 internet access connected to employees, customers around the world. We ship product everywhere. Our product supports industries that's the foundation of our existence. We know we have an obligation to do better with consumption and to continue to improve and minimize what we use. However, we need help with rebuilding the infrastructure around us. And finally, on a personal note, I've spent over 40 years in heavy industry, building military tanks, stainless steel food processing equipment, mobile cranes, 2,500 horsepower gas-fired engines, and for the past 11 years, compressors and turbines for Elliott. It amazes me that we fail to recognize our U.S. infrastructure is a competitive advantage in world markets. When manufacturing exports to other countries, these countries must first create their own power grids, their own water sources, their own roadways, or locate next to an ocean port. They are restricted by lack of countrywide infrastructure. It was said earlier, China, India, other Asian and African countries are investing in power plants, dams, roadways, public access to water. They're figuring out how to fund it. And this is actually old news. These investments are not focused on making it better for their citizens. It's to improve their global competitive positions in which we play. These global competitors have moved ahead of us over 30 years. Luckily, we have the infrastructure footprint, albeit in major disrepair and behind the times, to make it, but we take it for granted and we're falling further behind because of our own indifference in investing and building. Investment in infrastructure is more than modernizing and revitalizing our economy and communities. It's about survival in global markets where we are losing jobs every day. Infrastructure is a backbone for all we do. And lastly, to add value to our collective U.S. economy and survive in global markets, we have to make it, mine it, and farm it. And you can't do any of that without a strong, reliable, modern infrastructure. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Mike. All right, take care, Congressman. We're happy to be joined by our last speaker, John Lakovic, who is Vice President of Operations at Instant Brands. John.
Thank you, Vice President Brown, Senator Casey, Representative Doyle. They had to leave, but thank you for having me. And President Conway, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. It's truly an honor to be here today to lock arms with the steelworkers as the steelworkers and our company, Instant Brands, work together to build a strong future. With iconic brands like Pyrex, Corel, Instant, Corningware, and Snapware, and others, our company, Instant Brands, is recognized as a global market leader. A lot of that is in part to our United Steelworker members at our U.S. facilities that produce high-quality products with pride under the Corel and Pyrex brands. Our company employs more than 2,300 people globally in 10 different countries, including more than 1,000 United Steelworkers at our Corning, New York facility, our Greencastle, Pennsylvania distribution center, and our Charleroi, Pennsylvania Pyrex plant. When you think of infrastructure, I'll be the first to admit that cookware and tableware is not the first thing that comes to mind. But infrastructure is more than just roads and bridges. It means that companies like ours can produce products for Americans more efficiently and more economically with a strong infrastructure. Our workers can compete with anyone across the globe. But without a strong infrastructure, we are at a significant disadvantage. It's that important to us. Strong infrastructure investments mean jobs for workers across the country who will buy our essential products. Consider the construction worker that's paving the roads or building the infrastructure. They go home to their families, their dinner's prepared using Pyrex measuring cups. Perhaps it's cooked in an Instant Pot. Dinner is served in Corel dishes at their table. And the leftovers are packed to go to work the next day in union-made Pyrex storage containers. Our Pyrex and Corel products, made by our proud United Steelworkers, a few of them behind me here, eliminate the need for single-use containers, creating a more sustainable footprint for American families. In addition, our plants are also part of the sustainable supply chain as we recycle more than 3.5 million tons of glass every year to make our products. And lastly, I just want to thank you again for your time here today. And on behalf of Instant Brands, I want to say we support the United Steelworkers and we supply America. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. All right, you get one more chance before I close it out. Who supplies America? We supply America. You know, let's do this. We're going to divide it. This side first. Who supplies America? We supply America. Who supplies America? We supply America. Okay, hold on. Who supplies America? We supply America. Who supplies America? We supply America. All right, the back. Who supplies America? We supply America. Who supplies America? We supply America. All right, everybody. Who supplies America? All right, this side won, but okay, collectively we were good. Okay. Good job, everyone. So listen, you know, Tom thanked all of the folks who came together to make this happen, but I also want to extend my thanks because this took a team. This was months and months of planning, lots and lots of Zoom calls. Connie's dog was around her neck, you know, most of our calls. I mean, this was so much planning that took to get this together. And so I just want to shout out all of the departments that played a role. New media, communications, rapid response, legislative and policy, purchasing and travel, info systems, the political department, our president's office, our secretary treasurer's office. And all of these pieces had to come together. And I'm about to shout out this next person. She does not like the spotlight, but she needs the spotlight right now. I've been calling her the quarterback of our team. She kept, no pun intended, the wheels on this bus rolling. And without her, we would have all been lost. We had to ask her for permission to eat lunch on this bus tour. That's how real it got. Please give a huge round of applause to Assistant to the President, Kim Miller. See? So I'm afraid of her. She's looking at me in a very threatening way right now, but you all see it, okay? So listen, thank you all for helping us to close this tour out in the best possible way right here at home. Thank you for rolling with us all week as we did this on the road and as we brought this message out into states and into communities with our members. And we're so proud to say that we were able to do it with our members. They loved seeing that bus roll into their locals. They loved hearing that our union has taken on this battle cry on their behalf. So in their honor, I'm going to ask you one more time. This is in their honor. Who supplies America? We supply America. Thank you and stay safe.